Ladies and gentlemen, a video that I have spent quite a bit of time on. It's finally here. My 2024-25 college football playoff predictions. I'm going to show my top 25, and then we're going to get into my 12-team playoff and ultimately who I believe are going to be the national champions. But this is a video that I'm really excited about. I've spent a ton of time doing a lot of research on these college teams, new conferences. I'm really excited about it. But if you guys do enjoy college football content, consider leaving a like on this video. I'm going to be dropping my preseason top 25 coming very, very soon. And we're getting ramped up for college football for the NFL and NFL draft season. Well, that's been going on since the last draft. But we're going to be talking about who I believe are going to be the 12 teams in the playoff. I'm going to be talking about why. We're going to be talking about matchups and ultimately giving my national championship predictions. Before we get into it, though, be sure to check out my Patreon, which will be linked down below. There, you guys will get exclusive access to prospect interviews, my complete in-depth draft guide, early access to prospect spotlights, and much, much more. Leave a like, and let's go ahead and get into it. Starting off with my top 25. Now, we have the top 12 spots still to be revealed, but these are the teams that just missed the cut. Where should we even start here? Let's go from 25 down to 13. Louisville, I think, is going to be a very interesting team to watch this upcoming season. The ACC, I have a couple of teams making the final cut here in the top 12. Louisville is not one of them, though. I think they're going to have some concerns in terms of, I just don't think they're going to be able to run the ball the way that they were able to last year. Well, I think this team has some really nice pieces on both sides of the football. You've got defensive studs in Quincy Riley, Ashton Gelati. They made some really good moves on the offensive side of the ball. You bring in Tyler Shaw. He's got a pretty significant injury history, so we don't really know what he's going to be about. You've got Ja'Cory Brooks, who also kind of fell out of the Alabama rotation. I think this team is going to see some ups and downs. I still think they're a top 25 team. They're going to be very competitive all year round. I got them at 25. Alabama at 24. Loaded SEC, new head coach, questions around who the number one weapon is. There's just a lot more questions than I think we have answers to with this Alabama team. I think their offensive line is probably the best unit in all of college football, but you lost some secondary pieces. You lost both starting corners in Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold. You lost Caleb Downs to the portal. You lost quite a bit of talent to the transfer portal, and you lost Nick Saban, the GOAT. I've got them at number 24. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to do a good job, but this is an SEC that is absolutely loaded, and I think they're going to miss out on the playoff. Virginia Tech at number 23. I love Tech. I think they've got a very easy schedule. They've got a defensive line that I think is going to be NFL caliber with guys like Antoine Powell-Ryland and Aeneas Peebles. The offense should be just as fun as well. You've got a dual threat quarterback in Kyron Drones. This is the team that in the second half of the season went from one of the worst teams in the ACC, and they completely helped their draft stock. They helped their stock here. I've got them here at number 23. I think they're going to be a really fun team. Michigan at 22. I know Michigan fans are going to say they're a playoff team. The Big Ten's better, and they lost a ton of talent. Donovan Edwards, he's still here. You got to hope he has a big year. Colston Loveland. Those are really your two offensive playmakers. But with the question marks on the offensive side of the football in terms of your quarterback, Alex Orji is probably going to be the starter week one. Don't really know how much trust I have in that going into this year. I think Michigan's going to be a fine team. I think they're going to have some upside. I think their defense is going to be out of this world with guys like Mason Graham, Will Johnson, Josiah Stewart. But I don't think their offense is going to be good enough. I got them here at number 22. At number 21, we got the Boise State Broncos. I got them just missing out. I have them losing a game on their schedule, and I have an undefeated team really there at number 12. We'll get into them in just a second. But Boise State, very good football team that I think is just going to miss out on the 12-team playoff. They got talent. They can run the football incredibly well. Year two under Spencer Danielson, I think they're going to be very good. Memphis, same sort of story. I think Memphis is a little bit better. Consistency on this roster. They've got a ton of returning talent. Rock Taylor. You've got Seth Hennigan coming back. The defense led by Chandler Martin. This team's going to be really good. The American Conference took a step back this year. I think Memphis is going to win the American, but they're just going to miss the college football playoff. SMU Coming to the ACC, I love this SMU team. I think this team has talent everywhere. They're going to be able to run the ball. Preston Stone is one of the most fun quarterbacks, a gunslinger, and they really don't have that hard of a schedule. I think you could swap them and Virginia Tech, kind of who's going to be the better team there in the ACC. I think they're going to be very close, but I do like SMU quite a bit. I think they're going to finish the year as a top 25 team. Oklahoma State, another team that I really, really like. Alan Bowman coming back as quarterback. That's really what hurts them a little bit. I don't think they have that elite quarterback play, but Ollie Gordon is going to be in the finalists for the Heisman Trophy, I think. They've got some defensive guys in Colin Oliver, Nicholas Martin. They have a really dynamic offensive line that does a great job run blocking. They're going to be a very good team, and they're going to be right in the mix for the Big 12 championship. I've got them third or fourth, I want to say, actually, now that I think about it, in the Big 12. Mizzou, right there. This team's really tough because I think they're going to be really good. If they were in any other conference, I think they'd win. They're in the SEC. Well, I love the weapons that they have. They bring in Marcus Carroll from Georgia State. This team has some questions, though. They lost some guys in the secondary on the defensive side of the football. I think offensively, they're going to be dynamic. They're going to be a tough team to play week in, week out, but I don't think it's good enough to get them into the playoff. Iowa, it's the complete opposite of Missouri. They have a very easy schedule. When you look at their schedule, their Big Ten conference schedule is really not that difficult, which is why I gave them the edge over Michigan, because their defense is going to win them games. It happens every year. Iowa's ranked every year because of their defense. I don't think that defense is going to be good enough to get them into the playoff, but because their offense is so bad. But I do like what I've seen from this team. I think defensively they're going to be great. LSU here at number 15. I mean, these last three teams, you could put them in the playoff. I wouldn't be upset about it. LSU, dynamic weapons yet again. CJ Daniels is one of my favorite receivers in all of college football. Garrett Nussmeier's got a cannon attached to his arm. This defense should 100% be better than it was last year. Harold Perkins back for another year. The offensive line's good. LSU should be there, but there are some question marks. New quarterback. The defense was so disappointing last year. What kind of play are you getting from them? Penn State, I don't trust Drew Aller. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. They really don't have any weapons, though, and that's really going to be a concern. You got to like the tight end, Tyler Warren. The offensive line's good. The defense is going to play its part, but I don't think it's going to be good enough. And Kansas State, they're going to be able to run the ball extremely well. You've got Dylan Edwards. You've got Giddens. I'm blanking on the first name here. Avery Johnson's going to run the ball. The offensive line's good. Defensively, I think they've got pieces as well. They're going to be right in the mix for a playoff spot, I do believe. But I think they're going to be third, I should say, in the Big 12. And I got them finishing 13th. So this right here is going to be 13 through 25. And let's take a look at my number 12 team in the country. That is going to be the Liberty Flames. So Liberty is going to come in at 12-0, win Conference USA, and get that final college football playoff spot. I don't really see another team contending. Now, the argument you could make is maybe they'll favor a Memphis or a Boise State, even with the loss on their schedule due to the competition level. Liberty's playing in Conference USA. It is a cakewalk schedule. I don't see a single loss on their schedule all season long. Caden Salter, Quentin Cooley, this team's going to be able to run the ball extremely well. They've got pieces everywhere. I like this Liberty team. Yeah, they lost CJ Daniels. Yes, they lost Preston Hodge, but they continue to add talent. This is a team that builds from within, and I think they're well coached, very quarterback-friendly offense. Liberty was in a New Year's Six Bowl last year as well, so they would have been in the 12-team playoff if it was implemented last year. The committee liked them last year. I see no reason why they don't like them again. I've got Liberty as the 12th and final team getting into the playoff at a 12-0 record. So there you go. There is the playoff bracket, which we will be filling out as we go along throughout this video. At number 11, though, we've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame had maybe the best offseason in all of college football. Yeah, upgrade massively at quarterback from Sam Hartman to Riley Leonard. Leonard's not a guy that I'm the highest on, but I like him a lot more than I like Sam Hartman. Athletic, really good contact balance. We saw that at times for Duke last season, which you really love to see. Weapons took a huge upgrade. You get Bo Collins from Clemson, who is a big-bodied outside receiver, and then you get Chris Mitchell from FIU, who's one of my favorite sleeper wide receivers in the country. He's got size, he's got speed, he's got inside out versatility. Absolutely love what he can be. And we haven't even talked about Mitchell Evans, the tight end here. So right there, you've got three really good weapons that are better than anything that Riley Leonard had at Duke. This team also, I think, is going to be able to run the football because their offensive line up front always does a good job. And defensively, they've got a defensive unit that's really, really good. You've got Riley Mills and Howard Cross on the interior. You add R.J. Oben, also from Duke. R.J. Oben is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft class that not a lot of people are talking about. Linebackers, we're going to get to see more from Jack Kaiser. We're going to get to see more from Xavier Watts, who really broke onto the scene last year. And then you got Ben Morrison, who is absolutely electric. And they're out of conference. So they play a lot of ACC opponents. I see one loss on their schedule, but overall, I think this is a very favorable schedule for them. 2 losses max, Florida State, Texas A&M being the 2 hardest games on their schedule. I see no reason why Notre Dame does not get into the playoff. And I've got them at number 11, and they will be filling that bottom right quadrant. At number 10, we've got the Arizona Wildcats. Now, Arizona is a team that really had a bit of an up and down offseason. I thought, last year they finished the season off incredibly strong with Noah Fafita, Tetairoa McMillan. They really got things going for this team. And then out of nowhere, Jed Fish leaves. They lose Ephesians Prysock. They lose Jonah Coleman. And yeah, I still think this team is going to be very, very good. Offensive line, returning everybody but Jordan Morgan. You bring in the head coach from San Jose State, who I'm blanking on the name here, but highly recruited head coach that a lot of people are really excited about for this team. You got one of my favorite quarterback receiver duos in college football, Noah Fafita, Tetairoa McMillan. I think they've got a dynamic attack there. And then when you factor in the defense, they've got good play. You've still got Sicario Davis, who decided to come back after the portal. You got Jacob Manu, who was fantastic as a freshman. He's expected to take a big leap. You've got pieces, and I still think they're going to be able to run the ball with the same efficiency, even without Jonah Coleman. This is an Arizona team that I think is being heavily slept on. They've got all the pieces in the world to really make some noise. And I've got them as the number 10 team in the college football playoff rankings. They got one loss to Utah this year. And then I think they are going to be in the conference championship, which should hopefully be good enough, even if you win or loss, to get you into the playoff. I got them losing, but I've got them as the number 10 spot, filling that upper right quadrant. Moving on to the number 9 team, I've got Texas. Texas is going to be a tough one. I think the SEC is going to have a lot of teams here in the college football playoff. I'm a big fan of what Texas has to offer defensively. I think they're going to be very good. Everyone loved Jahdae Barron. Wait till you get to see Andrew Makuba. He is absolutely electric. One of my favorite safety prospects in this entire draft. And you still got Jahdae Barron, which is very nice for this team. Defensive line, good as ever. You get Trey Moore from UTSA, who was electric for them last year. He's coming to the SEC. Bit undersized, but he's quick, he's athletic, and he's going to get to the quarterback. On top of that, the offense, it really comes down to Quinn Ewers. I think Quinn Ewers is the wild card for this team. Can he be consistent enough? I think there were times where he looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the country. There were times where Arch Manning should have been put in the game. Can he hit on the deep ball consistently? Yes, that's the big hope for this team. He got Isaiah Bond. This offensive line is absolutely loaded with talent as well. They've got pieces, and I think they're going to be able to run the ball better than they were last year. Jonathan Brooks went down with an injury. Before that, this team was incredibly balanced. You lost him. Now CJ Baxter is going to be able to run the ball like he did last year with a full season as the number 1 guy. A lot to look forward to if you're a Texas fan. I've got him at number 9. You could literally change them with my number 8 spot, and I wouldn't care. So there's Texas there. My number 8 is Tennessee. Again, literally put those 2 teams in any order you want. Tennessee is going to be a very good football team this year. I do believe that because their offense, I think, has consistency. You made some good moves in the portal. You bring in a guy like Chris Brazzell, who was very good for Tulane over the last few seasons. You get Brew McCoy back into the mix, who just a couple years ago was one of the better receivers on this roster. And then you got Squirrel White back. The offensive line, pretty solid. They've got guys that can pull into the second level. This offense is quick. This offense is not an offense that many teams in the country are going to be able to stop because they keep their foot on the gas, they keep their foot on your throat, and they just keep going. Run a super fast, hurry up offense. Tennessee is going to be right in the mix. Defensively, I don't think they're a bad defensive team. I think they're going to have some ups and downs, but when you got a guy like James Pierce who can get to the quarterback as regularly as he can, I think Tennessee should be in the playoff. I got them at number 8. I think they're going to be right in the mix there, that 8-9 spot. Swap them in with Texas. The SEC is loaded. I've got Tennessee right there, and I've got them sitting there with a matchup against Texas, which is going to be a super fun one to get to talk about here in just a minute. Moving on to the number 7 spot in the country, another SEC team. It's the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss was absolutely incredible this offseason. You lost Quinshon Judkins, which came out of nowhere. Honestly, I thought that was a move that not many people were expecting to see, but Ole Miss is absolutely loaded on both sides of the football. Offensively, the offensive line's good. The quarterback situation's really good. They run a very favorable offense as well. Heavy RPO. They get the ball out of the hands of Jackson Dart quickly. They get it into the flats at the tight ends, and then they can take the occasional deep shot where now you've got talent to do that. Trey Harris, a great jump ball receiver. You got Juice Wells now, who should be fully healthy this year, and in the middle of the field, he's going to be an awesome piece to have. And then Ulysses Bentley, great number 2 back. He's taken over the role. But where I think Ole Miss is really going to thrive is this defense, because defensively, they are absolutely loaded. Walter Nolan on the interior is one of the best athletes I think I've ever seen for an interior defensive lineman. He's coming in to this defensive line, and I think he's going to get first-round upside. He is absolutely incredible. Princely Umanmielen as well, coming over from Florida, another first-round guy who's got elite athleticism and bend off the edge. I think he is going to light it up for this Ole Miss defense. They added pieces in the secondary. I mean, this team is absolutely loaded on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, they're loaded. Lane Kiffin did an absolutely incredible job recruiting. And I think Ole Miss is going to make the playoff here. I've got them at number 7, but I've got them set up for a very fun matchup against the Arizona Wildcats. At number 6, we've got the Florida State Seminoles. Now, I did my ACC predictions. I think I had them 3rd or 4th. The more I look at this Florida State roster, don't really see that happening. Mike Norvell has done a heck of a job coaching this roster. And even if DJ Uiagalelei is not that great, this team has pieces that I think is going to be good enough to get them to the playoffs. The receiving room, it's not the same that it was last year. They've got some interesting pieces. Roydell Williams is going to be able to run the football. The defensive line with Joshua Farmer, Patrick Payton back in the mix, they really don't have a lot of losses on this schedule to me. I think Miami's going to be a tough one. Notre Dame's going to be a tough one. Clemson's going to be a tough one. Those are going to be games that you look at, but this team has a lot of talent. I think Florida State, the quarterback room, slightly upgraded from where it was. You should be able to run the football. The offensive line still really solid. And then can you get more consistency from these receivers? I believe Ryan Williams is the big one that a lot of people are talking about. Could be blanking on that last name. But Florida State, I've got them entering as the number 6 spot, leading to a rematch against Notre Dame. My number 5 spot is going to be the Oregon Ducks. Now, Oregon is absolutely stacked on both sides of the football. We're going to talk a lot about Oregon in this video because I absolutely love this team. Offensively, weapons galore. All 5 starters on the offensive line could end up being NFL draft players, to be completely honest. They're loaded offensively. Dylan Gabriel is my pick to win the Heisman. If you guys go back, leave that one down in the description. You guys can go see who my Heisman predictions are. I got Dylan Gabriel winning the Heisman this year. Weapons everywhere. Terrence Ferguson. You've got Jordan James. That's your tight end and running back. Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Evan Stewart, like 3 NFL quality receivers. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they loaded up. They knew what was coming. You're coming to the Big Ten. You've got to load up defensively. Jabbar Muhammad, one of the best corners in the country. He's coming over to Oregon. You add some help on the interior, Jamari Caldwell from Houston. You've got Justin Jacobs going to have a full year under his belt healthy. Jeffrey Bassa is going to be healthy. You've still got guys like Jordan Birch on this team. This team is loaded on both sides of the football. I think that Dan Lanning has done a heck of a job recruiting, and I've got them as the number 5 team, setting up for a game against Liberty. And now we're going to talk about the top 4 teams in the country, and then we're going to get into the games here. At number 4, we've got the Utah Utes. I mean, the more I look at this roster, this team is loaded defensively. They've got great secondary pieces in Zamiah Vaughn, Teo Johnson, but it really comes down to quarterback play. Cam Rising's back. This team's incredibly well coached. You got Brant Keithy also back at the tight end position for this team. So, yeah, I'm really high on Utah this year. I think they're going to be really good. I've got them winning the Big 12 and earning that first lock to get a first-round bye here. So they will play the winner of Oregon and Liberty, which that's going to be a really fun one there. But I've got Utah as the number 4 team. At number 3, we've got the Miami Hurricanes. I love Miami. I'm not hearing it from anybody else. This Miami team, if Miami doesn't make the playoff, I would be shocked. Other than Mario Cristobal, give me a reason why this team shouldn't win the conference. Offensive line's good. Run attack is going to be super fun with Cam Ward, Damian Martinez. You've got weapons everywhere. You've got Sam Brown and Xavier Restrepo. Defensively, this team is absolutely incredible. Akeem Mesidor should be back and healthy, which is a big one for this team. Francisco Mauigoa is one of my favorite linebackers in all of college football. But Ruben Bain, Elijah Allstott, Tyler Barron, 3 elite edge rushers. I think you could dial up some really fun blitz packages where all 3 of them are rushing the quarterback. Teams just are not going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. I think the secondary is a little bit of a concern, but this team always seems to have good secondary pieces, and I don't think it's going to be a liability either. So I think Miami is going to be awesome this year. I've got them as the number 3 team in the country, and I've got them earning a first-round bye. At number 2, I mean, you guys got to know who the top 2 teams are at this point. At number 2, I got Georgia. Georgia is stacked on both sides of the football. You got one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best running backs, offensive line. Again, all 5 starters are probably going to be NFL players. Receivers galore, 2 NFL quality tight ends, and then Georgia's defense is always out of this world. Michael Williams still here. Malachi Starks is still here. I mean, there's no reason why this team is not going to go undefeated. I just don't see this team losing in the regular season. I just don't see it. They've got all the talent in the world. I've got Georgia as the number 2 team. And then number 1, it's going to be the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State's loaded. You got upgraded at the quarterback position from Kyle McCord, which you could only go up. That was a disaster to watch last season. Receivers, I mean, we're going to see kind of what this team can be. You got Emeka Egbuka. You got the number 1 true freshman in college football who graded out as one of the best receivers of all time. He's now expected to be absolutely insane for this team. Defensively, they're good. They've got a great 1-2 punch at the running back position. Not really a lot of negative to say about Ohio State. I've got them with the number 1 spot. And then that leaves us with 4 first-round matchups that we are going to get to talk about. We're going to start on the top left, go to the right, come down, and we'll finish with Oregon and Liberty. Tennessee, Texas. Love this matchup. I'm going to go with Texas in this one, though. I think Texas has defensive talent that is going to be really tough to kind of move the ball against. I think they've got a pass rush that's going to be really tough against Tennessee. Now, there's a roadmap to victory here. Can they move the ball quickly? Yes, they definitely can, but I like this Tennessee team quite a bit. I'm not going to be a homer here. I like Texas. Offensively, I think they got more weapons than what Tennessee has. They're going to be able to run the ball. I have a little bit of concerns about the run defense of the Vols. So we're going to go with Texas in that first matchup. All right, we're moving on to Ole Miss, Arizona. This is a really interesting game here. I'm going to go Arizona. I'm going to shock some people here. I love the weapons that Arizona has. Ole Miss did a lot. They upgraded the safety room, but I don't know if they upgraded the cornerback room to the level I'd like to see. Arizona's going to be able to push the ball down the field. I like the offensive line, especially the interior. I think guys like Wendell Moe could really do a good job against a guy like Walter Nolan. I like this Arizona team. I think they got linebackers to stop the RPO that Ole Miss has. I think they got cornerbacks to shut down Trey Harris. They can stop the run. I think Arizona is going to be the upset pick here of round 1. I'm taking Arizona to beat Ole Miss. Florida State, Notre Dame. I mean, I love Notre Dame, but I think Florida State's just a little bit more balanced. Trust the quarterback a little bit more, a true veteran of college football. I think they got weapons. I think they're going to be able to run the football effectively. I really like Florida State, so I am going to go with Florida State. Give them a matchup against Miami that is going to be a really fun one. Oregon Liberty, we saw it last year. Oregon's only better than they were last year. Liberty is probably going to get blown out in this game. All honesty, I'm taking Oregon to give us a very fun Pac-12, former Pac-12 matchup here. So here's what the second round is going to look like. All right, Texas, Ohio State. I love this matchup as well. We're going to go with Ohio State. Trust the quarterback room a little bit more. I think they're going to be able to run the ball very effectively. The one issue I have with Texas, do they have the boundary corners to really make some stuff happen? I don't know. And knowing the way Ohio State wants to move the ball, Egbuka, this team's going to be able to really, really thrive down the field. Brandon Enos, I mean, they got weapons everywhere at Ohio State. Ohio State gets the advantage here to play, get a bye. I'm taking Ohio State to move on. Georgia, Arizona, the Cinderella run from Arizona is going to end here because Georgia, they're just too good defensively. I think they've got pieces to really get into the backfield and pressure Noah Fafita. They can really lock down Tetairoa McMillan. Defensively, they've got all the tools. And then offensively, yeah, I like Arizona's secondary, but this team can run the ball. They can pass the ball. They're not an RPO. They're running more pro-style offense. Georgia's going to win this game. Miami, Florida State, I think this is where Miami goes down. Florida State is trying to get that revenge for what happened last year. As much as I like this Miami team, I got one loss on the year for Florida State, and that is to this same Miami team. I think they get revenge here in the college football playoff. They win that game, and I think they're going to be in the Final Four here. I got Florida State beating Miami and earning their final spot. And then Oregon, Utah, as much as I like this Utah team, I think this game is going to be incredibly competitive, incredibly fun. Every game we see between Utah and Oregon is. I trust Oregon, though. I think they've got too many playmakers on the offensive side of the football. I think they've got a lot of ways that you can win. Defensively, I think they've got moves as well to make. I'm taking the Oregon Ducks here to leave us with a Final Four of Ohio State, Oregon, and Georgia, Florida State. We're going to start off with Ohio State, Oregon, man. I got one loss on the season to Oregon, and it is to Ohio State. I've got Ohio State winning out here. This game's going to be incredible. You've got so many storylines, a Big Ten rematch here in the college football playoff. You've got weapons on both sides of the ball like we haven't seen. You've got a run game from Ohio State with the best 1-2 punch in college football. But Oregon has made all the moves necessary to really contend here. Jabbar Muhammad, you've still got great safety play. You got good linebackers and a defensive line that's going to give Ohio State trouble. On the opposite end, Ohio State has an elite defense as well. They can rush the passer. They can lock it down with Jordan Hancock, Denzel Burke. I mean, weapons could really struggle here for Ohio State, or for Oregon, excuse me. This game is going to be incredibly close. I'm taking Oregon, though. I think Oregon is going to get this win, really make a push for the national championship here. I think Oregon wins against Ohio State. They beat the number one team in the country, and they're going to play the Georgia Bulldogs in the national championship game. I mean, I know I could spend more time on Georgia, Florida State because Florida State made some good moves. Georgia's just too balanced on both sides of the football. They've got offensive talent galore. They've got defensive talent galore. They can shut down whatever Florida State wants to do. If they want to run the ball with Roydell Williams, I think this team has guys that are going to stop the run. They've got a secondary that is elite. I love this matchup. Oregon, Georgia, I think these are the two best teams in college football this upcoming season. I love what both of these teams are going to be able to accomplish. And it leads us to a crash course here. And I got Georgia winning the national championship yet again. I think this is going to be their third championship in 4 years. I think you could have argued they could have gotten a college football playoff spot last year, and I think they probably would have beat Michigan. I think this team is just loaded. This team has all the talent in the world. I think you got the best head coach in college football. Carson Beck probably earns himself the number one pick if they win the national championship here. You got receivers and Dominic Lovett and Colby Young that are going to be really fun. Deion Bell is a name that a lot of people are floating around to kind of keep your eye on. They're just loaded. And as good as Oregon is, I think this is going to be a very fun one. But I got the Georgia Bulldogs winning the college football playoff and national championship for the third time in 4 years. But that's going to do it, guys. Let me know which teams you guys think I missed out on, which teams I'm underrating, which teams I'm overrating. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.